Hi everyone and welcome back to our channel. For those of you who haven't joined us before, I'm Sophie Paterson, interior designer in the UK. Today's video is going to be about how to design a luxurious living room, and I'm going to share with you some examples of how to get the very best out of your own living room. So I hope you enjoy it. Some of you might have noticed that I've changed my living room around a little bit. This sofa is not normally here, and the reason for that is that I'm getting the room ready tonight for a little screening. We're going to have a little home cinema experience. I've invited a few friends around, and I'd like to say thank you to LG for sharing their latest home projector with me to do that, and also sponsoring today's video. Now this is the projector sat here on the table, and the first thing you'll notice is it's not in the ceiling because it's an ultra short throw projector, and basically what that means is you can put it really close to your screen or your white wall. You don't have to have it in the ceiling or far away, and it blends seamlessly into your living room. It uses Graduate's textile on the front of the projector, which is also sustainable. With its clean aesthetic and Graduate's re-wall textile, the projector adds an air of luxury and elegance to any home interior. You can enjoy movies both in a dark room and in ambient lighting with the curtains open, using the LGCineBeam brightness control. Also, you only need a handspan distance from the wall to produce a large screen of up to 120 inches. It allows you to watch Netflix, Disney+, and of course YouTube and many others. For me, what I love most about the LGCineBeam is the fact that it blends so seamlessly into your interior. I love all the finishes, the light white colour with this beautiful Graduate fabric. Now you only need a few inches away from your wall to create your very own home cinema experience. If you want to have a luxurious living room, you must go large on your rug. Go as big as you can. It's really important that the front feet of your sofas, your armchairs, and your side tables all sit on the rug. If they don't, it will look like you've got a rug that's too small for your room. It will look cheap, your room will look smaller, and it won't be as inviting. So if you look at this case study behind me, you can see that there's a lot of furniture in here, but almost all of the furniture sits partially on the rug, and so it all feels very cohesive. It feels like it's the right size for the room. The thing that made this rug work, because some of the furniture is half on, half off, is we inset the rug. So that's something that you would need to do when you were doing your renovation, and that allows us to have an armchair like this, half on, half off, without rocking. But if you want to make sure that you don't need to do that, you just have to make sure that your furniture is either fully on the rug, or if it's not, you can buy some foam pads that will lift the back legs of the furniture up so they don't rock when you're sitting on them. A good way to introduce colour into the room is not just by doing it on the cushions, but bring it into the rug as well, and then it will feel much more sort of considered. It will feel like it's a much better colour palette rather than just an afterthought. So in here we introduced the colour of the burgundy into the rug, and we've done this with a wall base in a neutral colour, and then the silk details come out through the burgundy, and it feels really, really luxurious. With all of these rugs that you see in our projects, these ones we've commissioned custom with rug makers in Paris and Italy. But if you wanted to do something similar, there are plenty of rug makers throughout the UK and indeed the whole world that can do this. You just need to get a POM box and you can tie in those colours with the fabric scheme in your interior. So window treatments are a really important consideration in your room. They can make it feel bigger, brighter, or they can totally kill the design. One of the things we love to do with window treatments is go for quite a simple, unpatterned fabric. I think especially in a room like this, where you have a lot of windows, if the fabric is cheap and has a pattern, you can tell straight away. If it's just a plain with a nice texture, it looks much more luxurious. So we tend to go in that direction. Another thing that can make your curtains look more luxurious is if you have them weighted at the bottom, they will hang really nicely. And when you're choosing your fabric, try to not choose fabric that has horizontal lines that go through it, because those lines will kind of make the fabric puff out, and it means that when they get installed, it's really hard to get this neat straight line that we're so well known for. They will tend to puff out, and then you might need to get a curtain tie back as well, which is extra cost and might not necessarily be the look that you're looking for. It's so important to not block out natural light and always go as high as you can with your window treatments to make your ceilings feel taller. These are just half height because we did a photo shoot and it was beaming sunshine, but normally the client has them quite high up, kind of in line with the sash. And if you are doing Roman blinds, think about the details like sash windows. So when you have them folded, ask your curtain maker to line up the folds with the sash windows. So for example, with this sash bar here, you wouldn't want it sitting just a few centimeters above. That wouldn't feel very neat. So these are kind of little details that make a big difference to making it feel more luxurious. Now, in terms of trends for window treatments, for me, it's definitely gone away from heavy palmets towards poles. I love something that's very discreet. Sometimes we do them in a curtain pocket, but I think in a project like this was a grade 2 listed project in Knightsbridge. It's really nice to have some of those more traditional elements like the pole. By going with a bronze pole, I feel that it looks slightly more contemporary and clean, and I think it works really well because you can take those window treatments really high, and if you had a pelmet that would have blocked some of the light, but the pole allows all that light to come flooding in. If you just shove a TV on top of a sideboard, it's not going to look luxurious. So we always like to try and integrate them into some joinery and have a really considered solution for them. In this sitting room, we didn't have the budget for fitted joinery. So what we did was we designed a bespoke piece of furniture that was really simple but gave that same illusion. It's also modular, so that when we were taking it into the project, we didn't have to worry about fitting it in through doors. It was a really easy installation. So the base is one long sideboard that we designed, and then it has these modular shelves that you can add on top. I think they came in 3 pieces, and it gives you that same nice effect of fitted joinery without necessarily the cost where you have a joiner that has to come and install it, and it just takes a lot longer. And what I like about this is the fact that where it has a dark timber, it's distracting away from the big black box that is a TV. And we've also dressed it beautifully with some accessories, so it looks nice whenever you're watching TV or when the TV's off, it still looks beautifully dressed. Often we will put a polished plaster on the wall behind, or we might do a grass cloth wallpaper. And what that does is it just makes it feel more beautiful. There's other things to look at as well as the TV, and it creates a nice feature out of it. Here we've decided to go darker because that distracts you from the blackness of the TV, and it helps it all blend in and makes it look a bit more seamless. Your lighting fixtures are so important to creating a luxurious living room. This is one of my favourite living rooms. I think we designed it about 6 or 7 years ago in Knightsbridge. What I think works so well here is the combination of different lighting styles. So you've got the really traditional chandelier, which was actually an existing chandelier they already had. And then we've combined that with some much more contemporary table lamps that are from Porta Romana. And I think overall it gives it that really lovely classic contemporary feel that we're so well known for. There's obviously lots of other lighting in this room as well with the LED strips in the joinery. But I think for me, the main thing that really draws me in is the chandelier. So don't be scared to mix different styles, and don't necessarily dismiss more classical, traditional, antique chandeliers, because you can still make them feel up to date and contemporary. This was a really large penthouse that we designed, very luxurious space, and we've used really oversized lighting fixtures to clearly zone what is the dining room away from the living room. And by using the same brand of chandelier, but in a different shape, it feels not too repetitive, but it still feels cohesive because they're obviously in quite close proximity to each other. If you'd done 2 of these, it wouldn't work with the shapes of the furniture. Equally, if we'd done 2 of the round ones, it wouldn't have lent itself so well to the dining table. So if your budget doesn't allow for a really beautiful chandelier, you can't afford the size or the scale or the brand that you want, don't get one at all. There's nothing worse than something that's not right for the space. Also, if your ceiling height's not quite right for a chandelier, again, don't get a chandelier, but perhaps focus on other elements like wall lights or table lamps like we've done in this project. So here the ceilings are quite low, we didn't want to bring them down anymore. So instead, by putting these beautiful oversized wall lights, you still get that feeling of grandeur, of luxury and elegance, but you're not having anything in the middle of the room that's going to make the ceiling feel lower. And then we've gone for really tall table lamps that again bring your eye up, so that it gives you that same effect, but you don't have the cost and you don't have to have really tall ceilings. Accessories are so important for creating that luxurious feel in any space, and they're also the easiest way to upgrade your space. So this case study here shows you how I layer them up, and I like to mix different colours. So we've got the cream with the dark and then the white frame and different forms. And again, I've done another video on this, which is styling your shelves, which all is applicable to any surface area, whether it's a sideboard or a shelf, the same kind of rules apply. But by grouping them and putting them on coffee table books, it makes those accessories feel much more luxurious and really elevates them. And I think this kind of finishes off a room. If you've got a beautiful living room or indeed any interior and you don't accessorize it, it's never going to feel truly luxurious and truly inviting. So don't be scared to really layer up the items in your home. I think key accessories for any living room is you want to have an oversized bowl. This is a great thing to have on your coffee table, on a sideboard. You want lots of boxes for hiding all your remote controls, candles, diffusers, photo frames and vases. And with all of those items, you can create a truly luxurious interior. Try and pick interesting objects that have different textures, different colors. So here, this is a beautiful Giles Cafe vase that we got from Paris. And then we've combined them with some natural stone discs and a beautiful crystal geode. By having all these natural, beautiful finishes, it really makes your interior feel even more luxurious. Your eyes always seeing these beautiful objects on a daily basis. So really think about what things you're drawn to, whether it's nature, what colors do you want to bring out in your room, what kind of patterns can you correspond, so the beautiful texture on this corresponds with the table lamp base, and you're picking out colours from your fabric scheme onto your shelves and onto your surfaces. It's such a great way to layer up your room and make it feel more luxurious. This is obviously a very contemporary interior. The owner had a lot of antique books, and I think it's all about how you use those objects. So we haven't overloaded every single shelf with antique books. We've mixed them in with some different objects like the sliced petrified wood on a stand or some photo frames. And just by sort of breaking them up and not having them too densely in there, you can make it feel a lot more light and a lot more contemporary. And that was also a really great inspiration for me when I was designing the colour palette. I brought the warmth of those antique books down into some of the fabrics that I've used on the cushions, and it all feels really cohesive and works really well now. And that's all thanks to the accessories. Some of the rules that I apply in all of my projects are great tips to making your living room feel much more luxurious and much more enjoyable. So with the main sofa, I always make sure that I choose a really hard-wearing fabric. I don't just rely on the Martindale test or the information that I see on the back of the fabric. I like to do my own testing as well. So I'll often sometimes get a piece of jewellery and scrape that across and see how easily the threads come loose, maybe rub some dark denim on it, see how easily that stain might sort of transfer. It's so important that it is practical, because if it does get stained, it won't feel luxurious. I also like to mix up the fabrics on the sofas and the upholstery. I tend to keep the larger pieces of upholstery very neutral because they're a much bigger investment and you're gonna really notice them in your room a lot more. So if you get bored of that color, it's not so easy to change. That said, I do like to bring colour into the upholstery rather than just the cushions. As I said earlier, it feels a lot more considered, and I think an armchair is a really good way to do that. And when it comes to the sofas and the seating, what I tend to do is put the big, most comfortable sofa opposite the TV. That's where you're going to sit and relax the most. And then perhaps the armchairs that maybe aren't as comfortable but look more beautiful are, as you enter the room, you'll see the back of those armchairs. And I always like to make sure that the back of the armchair has an interesting feature, whether that's like a little bit that's open at the bottom or some nice carving or even a beautiful fabric. You can always do a different fabric on the back of the chair to the front, and the back of the chair could have maybe a less practical fabric and the front of the chair have a much more hard-wearing fabric, so it's going to look good in years to come. The shape of your furniture should very much be inspired by the architecture of the room, by other elements in the room. And in here, it has these beautiful arched windows, which is what inspired us to go for this curved back sofa. I like how the curves have that nice interplay and it feels really interesting. Also, it makes it a lot more sort of sociable because I needed a sofa that was kind of directed towards the TV, but we didn't have the width here to put a sofa bang opposite the TV. By putting this gentle curve, it means that someone can sit here, put their feet up and comfortably watch TV, but it doesn't block off that whole space and stop the flow of people around the room. In this room, we've gone for an L-shaped sofa, and we've done that because this is their TV room. They have young children here. They really want to just be able to relax. You can see I've gone for that in a darker colour just to keep it more practical. And I've also gone for quite a low sofa, and that's because the ceiling height in here isn't very high, and by having a slightly lower back, it gives the illusion of a taller ceiling. As you walk into this room, you walk in and you see the back of the chairs. So I purposely put an interesting fabric on the back of this. It has a different fabric on the front, which is much more hard wearing. But this is just a beautiful fabric that's nice to look at. And we've gone for something that has a timber frame. So again, it's mixing up the styles. I didn't want to have it all too repetitive. And then lastly, I've put seating on the third side, which is just this upholstered bench. It's not an area that you're going to sit on a lot, but if you were having a big social gathering, more people can sit on that. But because it's nice and low, it doesn't stop you from viewing the TV. You can still lie down on your sofa and it's not going to block that view of the TV or the fireplace. I love to mix up different styles of tables in the room. So I might have some with a solid base like we've got here. And this is a really good thing to do if you've got a plug socket behind and you want to hide the trailing cables, go for a solid base side table. This is a over the sofa table, which is what I love for making a space more usable. You can see you can put your cup of tea there and you can still relax on your sofa, and it makes it a lot more inviting. And for me, that still looks really luxurious. And then no luxurious living room is complete without a coffee table. It's so important for making your room feel grounded, giving a focal point, and it's a great area to dress, as well as making sure that when your guests come round, you can have some nice snacks and some drinks on there so that they feel at home. This we designed custom, and you can see it's got the coffee table on top, and then it's got small little ottoman sections that you can individually pull out that will allow you to sit there and put your feet up. And I think that's such a nice way of doing it if you don't want to have just an ottoman in the middle of your room. By sort of combining the coffee table with that as a nest, it still looks elegant, it still looks luxurious, but you're also comfortable too. What we wanted to do in this room was create two separate seating zones. It was a really long, narrow space, but we also wanted to make sure that it would still be usable as one complete room. And how we did that was we did two L-shaped sofas on both sides of the room. With a majlis, it's really important that people don't have their back to anyone when they're using it. And then we've done two small coffee tables where you can put your tea. And then in the middle is an ottoman, so that if you did want to use this space as one big area for a family gathering, additional seating could be on this ottoman. But when it's out of use, it's just a beautiful object that kind of makes the space feel complete. And I like the fact that it's got this curved oval shape, so it's really good for space circulation and it doesn't feel too clunky in the middle of the room. So guys, that's a wrap. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video and that it's been helpful for you if you're designing your own living room. If there's anything that I haven't covered, and let's face it, there's a lot more that I could have talked about, drop us a comment down below and I will happily come back to you. But I hope this has given you lots of inspiration, and we'll see you very soon.